Alright guys, I decided to do a little cooking video since I'm home this week. I've actually been home for a few weeks, but I'm going to cook some chickpea curry this afternoon for lunch, so I figured I would show you guys the recipe for it. I'll post the recipe, it's just from allrecipes.com, but it's a good one. I've made it before. I really like chickpea curry, so figured we'd do that for lunch, and I'll show you how to do it. So first thing is ingredient wise, there's actually a lot of ingredients when it comes to curry. There's a lot of different flavors in curry, a lot of really good spices that actually have a lot of natural like healing properties and anti-inflammatory properties, which is awesome. So curry is actually a really good thing to eat for a lot of inflammatory issues. So basically, quick rundown. So the recipe calls for vegetable oil, but I use coconut oil for pretty much everything. So coconut oil, 2 cans of garbanzo beans, aka chickpeas. Recipe calls for 2 onions. Sadly, I only have 1, so I'm going to use the one that I have. Let's see. We have ground coriander, ground turmeric, which this is one of the best, seriously one of the best health foods, natural health foods out there. We've got some minced garlic. I have pre-minced garlic, so I'll be using that. Calls for 6 whole cloves, so I've got a bag of cloves, throw 6 of them in there. Cinnamon sticks. This actually, on this recipe, instead of using ground cinnamon actually within the curry, you just put the actual cinnamon stick in it while it's cooking, and it gives that nice cinnamon flavor, and then you just take the stick out before you serve it. Calls for salt. I use sea salt personally. I like the Trader Joe's sea salt, so I use that. Some cayenne pepper. Recipe calls for a full teaspoon. I do half a teaspoon because I'm a wimp. Don't judge me. Some ground cumin and some ground ginger, and that's pretty much it. So I've actually already mixed all my stuff in this beautiful little pot. So I just need to dice up my onion, and then I'll show you what happens from there. Alrighty, so I have my onion all diced up. 1 onion. Tip, by the way, so I don't like to cry, number 1, and number 2, I don't like to waste a lot of time, so I actually use this chopper. I got it from Pampered Chef, and I use it so much that I had to buy a new one last year because the blades got so dull, so I definitely recommend using this chopper if you don't like to spend a lot of time chopping things. Onions are a pain, and I like it too because it gives it a nice like texture. I'm weird with texture, so I don't like things too chunky, so it gives it a nice size on the dicing. So onions are done, so I'll get it all thrown in the pan. Okay, so next step is to take your coconut oil, and we're basically going to heat up our onions next and let those cook and be flavorful. So that'll be step number 2. I'll actually turn that up a little bit. And then from there, from the onions, we'll actually start mixing in the spices and then the chickpeas. Okay, so onions are nice and clear, I guess is the way you want them to look. They've basically just been kind of cooking for the last couple of minutes, so onions are good. So the next thing I'm going to do is throw in the cinnamon stick, and then throw in my little bowl of all those spices, and mix them all together. Just make sure all the onion gets coated with the mixture. It already smells really good. So basically you're adding everything except for the actual chickpeas at this point. Some of these spices have a lot of color to them, and they can actually get in your clothes, and I've had a couple of times where I can't get it out of my clothes. So be careful with that. So this is basically what it's going to look like. Nice and pretty color. So you're just going to actually let this cook without the chickpeas for about 3 minutes, and then we'll throw the chickpeas in there for the next step. Okay, so next step is our chickpeas. We're actually going to keep them in the liquid for this recipe because the liquid's actually going to cook down while it's simmering. So chickpeas and the liquid. And again, just mix everything together. And then this is kind of the longest step of the whole process. So these have to essentially simmer and cook down. The chickpeas will become tender and it'll absorb all the flavors of the spice mix. So it's got to cook for like 25 minutes or so, just until everything is all absorbed. So that's kind of the longest process on this particular recipe. But it is a really, really tasty recipe, and it's pretty simple. Once you have all these spices in your cabinet, then you can throw this together pretty easily. I happen to have all these on hand because I've made this and something similar before. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to let that simmer for the next 25 to 30 minutes, and then I'll show you what it looks like at the end. So I will also be having green beans and savory herb potatoes with our curry. And actually both of these are microwavable. I usually steam my green beans, but these ones from Trader Joe's that you just throw in the microwave in this bag are actually really good. And then these are microwavable as well, which I love because they actually taste really, really good, and they're super simple. So those will be our full dish. Alright guys, so this is it. So that's the final product of the curry. Looks so pretty. It smells amazing in my house right now. And there's my garlic potatoes and my green beans, and I actually also threw a piece of naan bread on here. I just split one in half, so each of us could have one on our plate. I may just have a little bit of potato since I threw a piece of naan bread on there. But yeah, so that's it. So let me dish everything up, and then I'll show you what the final plate looks like, because it's going to be pretty. Alright, there's our final plates. They look very nice and pretty, and I think it actually made it a little bit too spicy for my liking, so I will be having a glass of almond milk because I'm going to die, I think, but hubby will like it a lot, so hopefully it's yummy. I'll post the recipe in the comments so you guys can have it. Alright, bye.